Hi everyone, welcome to a special kids edition of Colonial Cooking in Kayla's kitchen. Today we're making Johnny cakes, so grab your kids and let's get to cooking. Okay, so for today's recipe, we're going to start with a jar. I used an old salsa jar that I just cleaned out because it has a nice tight fitting lid. And then I filled it about 3/4 of the way up with heavy whipping cream. You want your heavy whipping cream to be cold and straight out of the refrigerator. And your heavy whipping cream will whip up faster if your jar is cold as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill your jar about 3/4 of the way with heavy whipping cream. And now kids, this is your chance to get involved. What we're going to do is we're going to shake this heavy whipping cream for a long time. So get your siblings involved, get everyone involved, mom, dad. You can roll it back and forth on the floor. Take several minutes until you hear something solid start to form inside your jar. Okay, so once your jar stops to kind of make that slushing sound a little bit, you're going to check it. And at this point, it is almost to like Cool Whip consistency. I'm going to take a couple tablespoons of that out. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to use this as a whipped topping on my Johnny cakes. So I'm going to mix it with a little bit of sugar here in a little bit and mix it up just a little bit more. Right now I've been mixing for about 5 minutes, but we are not done yet. So I'm going to put my lid back on and get back to shaking. So you'll notice that whenever your heavy whipping cream became more like Cool Whip, it stopped kind of making that slushing sound in the jar. Keep shaking. Eventually you're going to hear a slushing sound again, and if you can see, I have a hard texture and a little bit of milk that's in here. What's happening is that your butter is separating from the rest of the cream. I have just about another minute left to shake on this, and then we're ready to make some butter. Once you have a good amount of solids versus milk, you're done. The solid part in here is actually your butter. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the contents of our jar. We're going to come over here, and what I have here is basically it's just a white kitchen towel is what I'm using today. You could use cheesecloth, you could use paper towel. Actually, when I do this in my classroom, I use paper towels. And I'm just going to pour the entire contents of my jar into this bowl. Now, depending on how big your jar is, will depend on how much buttermilk you get out of it. If you use a bigger jar, you'll have more buttermilk. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to wring out as much of that buttermilk as we can. So you're going to squeeze, 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 making sure to keep all of the butter in your clean towel. So my hand is now, I can feel the butter starting to come out. That means that you've got all the liquid you can out of your butter. So we're going to just open this up. And that, folks, is homemade butter. Okay, so once you have your butter and your buttermilk made, now it's time to whip up our Johnny cakes. I have here a cup of yellow cornmeal. I've measured out 1/2 cup of my buttermilk that I made earlier. For this recipe, you are going to need 1 cup of hot boiling water. So kids, if you're making this on your own, please make sure to have adult supervision while you do this step. Okay, so what I did is I filled my bowl with 1 cup of boiling water. Then to my cornmeal, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to combine those 3 ingredients together with a wooden spoon. You just want to get everything incorporated. Okay, so the next step that we're going to do is we're going to spray a pan. Again, smaller kids, please make sure you have adult supervision for this step. You should have your cornmeal and your milk and your water and your salt all mixed together at this point. And then we're basically going to make like pancakes. I'm going to scoop out little dollops of my mixture here. And you can make these whatever size you want. Put them inside a metal cookie cutter and you can make them any shape too. Okay, so you'll start to see the edges of your Johnny cakes are going to start to cook, and they're going to start to be really easy to move around. At that point, we're just going to give them a good flip, just like you were making pancakes. As you're cooking, feel free to add more Johnny cakes as space allows. Okay, so once your Johnny cakes have browned up a little bit on both sides, we're ready to eat. I'm going to plate one up. I'm going to use some of the butter that we made earlier on my Johnny cakes. And then I like mine to be a little sweet, so I'm going to add a little bit of syrup. And that's it. Bon appetit. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Colonial Cooking in Kayla's Kitchen. Hope you and your kids had a great time.